Cool. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the capsule. We're back for another week. We are here with the big boss of Beyond the Moves, Nikhil Udat. For those that didn't see, although I would assume any capsule follower saw, that we were at Beyond the Moves. It was 2 weeks ago now. Yeah. And we did a pod with Jimmy, which people have probably seen. If you're watching this, you probably saw the one with Jimmy as well. But yeah, we thought we'd do a little recap of the event, chat about both of our experiences. Obviously, two different sides of the event. But first of all, how you feeling? Was it a success? You feel good?
Yeah. I felt good, and felt good also to be back home. You know, in London, back to my.
You hear that, Paris? Home.
Yeah, it is home now. You know, after more than 10 years, it's home.
Yeah, you've been here for a while, right?
Yeah. So getting back to my routine and all of that. Yeah. It's good.
That's good. And yeah, I mean, it looked like from a external perspective of like kind of not completely external, but it looked like it was a success. Like there was a good turnout. The dancers were great. Like you had, I guess, like good turnout for the prelims. That's the only thing I didn't see is the prelims. Mm-hmm. But like good turnout for the prelims, I guess, based on the top 16. Like they were all really good dancers, so it must have been a good top 16. It must have been a good prelim as well.
Yeah. I mean, the first year because I wanted to kind of set up the standards for the event, I did not have a pre-selection. So
okay.
I invited top 8 dancers to kind of set the tone for the event.
Who won the first one?
Mish.
Okay, sick, nice.
Yeah, Mish. And then second year I said, okay, now I'm gonna start pre-selection, but we only gonna take 4 dancers. Right. Just once again I was still opening it, but not fully. And then this year was the first time that I actually have like a proper pre-selection. Yeah. And it went well. We took 16 dancers for Saturday. Yeah. And yeah, it was really good.
And then the 16, it was 1 round battles, right?
Yes.
And then top 8 was 1 again or 2?
Yeah, one as well. And but they have about 2 minutes per round. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 2. Yeah, so they have longer rounds, but they have 1 round. And then after the top. So you did top 16, top 8, and then because you had 4 guests, after the top 8, those 4 people joined the 4 guests to go again from top 8 to finals. This was, every round was 5 rounds. Yeah. Sick. Yeah, so for people that don't know, every round after the guests join was 5 rounds, and then the finals were 8 rounds. Yeah. Which is like, if you listen to our pod, which was like a year ago, just over a year ago now that we did it, it's like one of my favorite parts of the event. It's even better live, but it's great on YouTube as well. I think that's the really good thing. It's like it's some real, like the content is really good for me. Mm-hmm, I like watching battle videos on YouTube and stuff. I even said this last time when it was one of the twins, and what's the other guy's name? Max. Who was in the finals? Yeah,
Max Love. Yeah.
Well, I was watching their battle and it's like 40 minutes long. Just on YouTube, it's like it's great to just sit down and like watch a full battle like that if you're going to really commit. Because by the end of it, you kind of really get drawn in. Whereas like a 1 round YouTube video is like, okay, cool, that was nice. What's next? Yeah. But it's even more in the venue, like watching those battles like for the whole time. You really get like drawn into the story, the connection with people. It was really good.
And one thing I also realized this year as well, and that I was really happy with, is the fact that I could feel like, the dancers on Saturdays, the way they were dancing, you could feel like, okay, they know they are at BTM. Yeah. Because compared to when they were doing the pre-selection on Friday, they only have 1 minute and then, they were dancing, like in a pre-selection format. Sure. But the moment they started dancing on Saturday, I could feel the difference, the way that they would take their time to really be more detailed with their dance. Yeah. That's something that the reason why I'm happy with that is because it's people start to just adapt to what we're trying to convey. So that's that's a good thing to see as well.
I'm sure we spoke about this a little bit when we talked about the concept of the event, but like what do you see? Obviously, you're a dancer as well, but like, what do you see as the benefit of like the longer rounds? Or, you know, you said like, okay, they kind of adapt to what we're trying to do, but what is it that you're trying to do with the dancers? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to give space to express yourself a little bit more, you know, because you know the battle scene and it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And usually the reason it's fast as well is usually you have, you know, so many categories in one battles, right? So for the organizer, they have to make it fast, you know, to be on time basically. So and I think it's also a good exercise to be able to be very efficient in 45 seconds or 1 minute. It's still a good exercise, but it's just, you know, me, I was like, okay, there's a gap here, right? So I think that's what I'm trying to do with this, you know, giving you the time to express yourself. Pretty much almost like you are training in a battle, you know. That's pretty much the way I see it, and that's also the way I see people dancing there more and more, you know. So that's a really good feeling to see that, you know, to witness this. No, especially that most of the people who are participating, I know they dance pretty well, and still being able to see them approaching their rounds, you know, maybe more patient way or something like this is it's nice to 100%. See that,
and I think also there's a few dancers since I came back that I was speaking to about the event and telling them they should go. But like, I think what's really cool about your event, especially because it's open, because I don't know if it's you I was speaking to about this or Jimmy or someone, but I feel like the only other event that I can compare your event to is the All-Star game that I Love This Dance did.
Okay.
Because of the same sort of reason, where it's like they have time to express themselves. It's a bit more of like an artistic exercise rather than what's all the cool stuff I can bang out in 30 seconds and move on, you know? It's a bit more like we're having time and stuff. Obviously completely different format, but it's the only one I would compare it to. But I think the only thing with that event, I think it doesn't happen anymore, or I haven't seen it for a while.
From what I know,
for now.
No, it's not.
But it was always invite only. Whereas your event is open, so anybody, you have invites, but also now anyone can kind of get through, which I think makes it much better, because it's like anyone could kind of put themselves in that. But there was a few dancers that I was saying in the UK that I was like, oh, you would be perfect for that battle. Like Lorena was one of them, and I was like, I would love to see her dance like that with more time and like that. I think there's like people like Camilla, even she's a popper, but like there's people whose dance would suit having more time to express themselves.
Definitely, for sure.
And I think what's cool is like we don't really have that so much in battles outside of styles, where it's like, oh, each battle has its own like identity, and it's like you would succeed more in this battle or less in this. It's kind of like battles are all kind of the same, you know what I mean? Like yes, different DJs, different judges, different venue, different whatever, but the format is kind of all the same. It's like you have a fusion concept or a summer dance, I guess, like even with the concept of the judges, but still summer dance is still just rounds, time, next round, you know what I mean? It's not really it doesn't change the dance necessarily, it just changes the experience. So I guess besides All-Star Game, BTM, Fusion Concept, there's maybe some other smaller ones that have little concepts, but mostly they don't change the dance of it. And I quite like that some people are going to succeed some places, some people are going to succeed in the other places, and having different feelings for events. So like, let's say I feel like, I don't know how you feel. I think BTM could be a good thing to like appeal to older dancers a little bit. Like I'm not saying it doesn't appeal to the younger. I think it does appeal to the younger dancers, but I think sometimes the older generation can be a bit like bored with the 30-second rounds. And if you've been doing that for a long time, after a while, you kind of like, okay, am I going to travel to this event, enter prelim, and then lose first round, like in a 30-second round? Whereas I was even saying like BTM, if I lost in the top 8, when I got to the guests, I'd be 5 rounds and then I get to go. I don't care about winning at that point because for me, it's like, yes, winning is nice, but it was always about showing my dance and
in 5 rounds, you definitely have the time to do that.
So if I lose, I'm like, hey, listen, everybody saw me dance for a long time. Like I had my chance to show everything, you know? And I don't ever feel like I don't think you can feel like you got robbed. Because the judges had 5 rounds to look at you. Like you were never going to get a different decision. There's nothing you could have done, you know?
And even I was talking to Ojinango with about this as well. It's like in that type of battle, it doesn't really matter who starts. Who start because usually when it's only one round, some people would be like, okay, no, I don't want to start and things like that. You never know the song or stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, you want some time.
In 5 rounds, even if you start, if you are strong enough to deliver, then it's gonna be fine.
And also not only 5 rounds, but 5 rounds with long. It's like 2.5 minutes. So you can take 30 seconds to feel the song out, which you can't do in a 1 minute round. You could really just stand there and just bounce your head for 30 seconds and still have 2 minutes left. To express yourself. But that's what I say about the older dance, where it's like I think there's a lot of older generation who maybe are a bit like, they don't feel like they can artistically express themselves as much. Whereas it might be more like, oh yeah, this is the event that would be worth traveling for, and even to watch. It's like you really see dancers like delving in, which I think is more appealing as well. But yeah, I'm trying to tell everyone about it, but I think it's like a lot of people should come, and this is one that's worth traveling for. I think for like the viewing experience, the everything, man, and even we'll talk about the choreo thing in a bit, but yeah, I really like it, man. Would you do it with any other styles?
I've been thinking about it, considering it as well. But it's just if that happens someday, it's gonna have to be another event. What I mean by that is it cannot, like, all of it cannot happen in the weekend.
Actually, you know what? I said All-Star Game, Fusion Concept, and I add Jack of all trades in Canada.
No.
I would add Jack of all trades. We're going this year, actually. But it's in Montreal, and it's basically they do each round. It started off as a pop-in battle, and each round you got given like a concept. So you had to use tutting or lines or waves or toy man or footwork. But it's like they had certain ones per round. So every round you do 1 round of like just lines, 1 round of animation. So people can succeed. It's like if you're a boogaloo dancer and I'm an animator, but I get animation, it's like it's really good.
And now they do it in hip hop as well.
So that's what, like, at first they started in popping, but then that's what I was gonna say, they expanded it to hip hop and breaking. And that,
when is that?
End of August.
But
Frankie D won. He either won or got to the finals. I think he won, and then Evian won last year.
It's like this one, I think,
circular stage. You might have seen it. But what's cool is, like, I think because the concept is already good in popping, because I think the idea came from the fact that there's all these styles under the popping umbrella. But then in hip hop and breaking, they had to devise the, like, how do you do it in hip hop? So they're like, okay, bounce or this, like different concepts for the different styles. I don't think you'd necessarily have to change the concept of BTM for pop-in or house or anything like that. But my whole point was to say they did that. Like, now it's a week-long festival. And it's like, I think it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like breaking, pop-in, hip-hop on like 3 different days kind of thing. So it's like, I can imagine BTM being like a week-long thing and having
That's the only way I can see myself, doing it. Because
even the choreo thing could be a day or an evening,
But I've got... No, I don't know if I should talk about this.
You're like, don't give away all the secrets.
I mean, no, because I've got something that I'm preparing for next year.
Okay, sick.
Yeah, and this is, one of the things that, because basically I love, dancing, freestyle, and also choreography. But another, passion of mine, is filmmaking as well.
Yes.
So I'm starting to. I've been thinking about it, but I think next year is the time to do it. I'm considering having, some sort of filmmaking things happening in,
sick.
During the weekend as well. Because for me, like the word experience, BTM experience, I really want people when they come this weekend, they they don't label it as a battle or a choreography contest or anything. It's just, a weekend of dance.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And
like a dance festival as opposed to like a battle or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing that I'm considering on adding, for next year. So that's why I'm being a bit vague about it because it's too early at the moment. But that will be the next step. But then maybe in the future, we never know, maybe it can turn into like a week festival. But yeah.
Yeah, bro, I think if any, like, I also think that's kind of the direction we're going with these big international events now is like the festival. There's a lot to do because I think it used to be, we just want to go for one weekend and come back, or one day event and come back, like fly in, fly out. I feel like nowadays, because there's so much, people are like, right, if I'm going to fly to a country, I need all the stuff happening. Like at least a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type thing,
The festival thing, the only thing as well I'm thinking is if we do a festival, then usually we tend to move it in summertime. And because summertime there are so many things happening already,
it's hard,
then it increased the budget, for everyone traveling during the week, during the summer as well.
And also, I guess Paris is not cheap for a week of accommodation, but then neither is Amsterdam, and summer dance get away with it.
I mean, once again, I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah,
I think if you are able to provide, something that is valuable, people will.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Come, so it's more like finding ways to make what you are doing, as valuable as possible.
Okay, so give me because you're in you're in a good position of being like a dancer, choreographer, and I mean that's probably why you run the event. But like you do all the things and you run the event as well. So obviously you were there watching. Give me your thoughts on the battles. Like we can start with Odilon and Evian, but like, I guess tell me like your thoughts on the battle. What did you like that you saw? Why was it interesting? Or like, what did you get from it, I guess?
Yeah, I would say it's probably best for me to just tell you some of the highlights, some of the things that I'm like, okay, this was thing that was really inspiring, but at the same time, I felt like, during the weekends, I couldn't wait to go back home and practice. That was the first thing, honestly, because there's so much information that you get from it.
Yeah.
One of the highlight for me was like the first round of Evian against Urgent Udats. The very first battle.
Yeah.
His first round.
The first round. I don't remember it. Yeah.
His first round, he still had his jacket, and to me, I know usually dancers, you warm up, before a battle, but I would still consider him not fully warm. And he did the rounds and finishing, with this. But I don't know. He went back, he went down on his back, and then literally come back straight. And I was like, "That's the first round."
That's true.
I was like, "That's the first round." So if you do this, in the first round, what else you gonna be doing?
Yeah.
And he managed to actually level up, his game, throughout the battle. So that was one. Another one as well that that was a highlight for me is the judge demo of Yuxon on the first day.
Yeah.
And Yuxon to me is one of the type of dancers most people don't necessarily relate to his dance at first, and I was like this when I was younger as well. I was like, I don't understand what he's doing, but because it doesn't necessarily look like the most entertaining dancer, but when you start having a deeper understanding of freestyle and dance in general, then you start also understanding that this guy is his relationship with music is really next level, but also his execution when it comes to details is very also high level. So when he did this not pre-selection, his judge demo, I was watching it as well, and the level of details in that demo, I was like, wow, that also what was one of the highlights. Let me see. Another one as well is actually Umu. Umu.
She's one of my favorites for a long time now.
Yes. So the way she dances, I'm like, okay, this is, one of the reason why I'm doing that event. Because in a normal battle, she would dance like this. She would not have the time to actually, do something strong with her rounds, with 45 seconds or 1 minute, if she was dancing the exact same way.
Sure.
But in that format, she made an impact dancing that way.
Yeah.
Like without killing the beat or, trying to hit everything in the song. She was literally flowing with, with every round, and still managed to, to go against Forge in the first battle, where Forge was, very technical and he did some like really great rounds, but yeah, still managed to win like that. And to me, this stays in my mind. Once again, that's why, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing over time is your relationship with the music in the moment. And yeah, she was able to show that,
Yeah.
So that's one. And also the battle Odilon with Dai. Yeah, that was the very first one as well. Yeah, this one was one of the highlights as well, just because of the communication between both.
Yeah.
Right? Like this was literally that, like okay, you speak that language, I speak that language, but I can also join you in this. Okay, okay, you can do that as well. Okay, let me show you this.
Yeah.
And, it was literally,
it seemed like a good connection there.
Like a pretty good conversation going on. And yeah, so that's what I would say. Yeah.
I like what was the girl's name? She was at Invite.
Brinka.
I think so. Yeah, that battled
the Japanese. Yeah.
This battle was really good, I thought, because they're so different.
Yeah,
and
very different.
For me, it seemed like the conversation, like you know how with Dai it was like, and Odilon it was like the conversation was a bit like, oh, I can do what you do kind of thing. And
similar language. Yeah,
similar language. I feel like with them, they speak such different language but they were still connected in a way of like, no, but I do things like this, and then the other was like, no, but I do things like this, and it's like they were both. Like, for example, she had, if you go watch the battle on YouTube, people at home, but like she was very like animated and like making facial expressions and being fun and sometimes cute and this type of thing. So she's like in Paris with this like notorious Paris energy, and then she's being there just like smiling and this type of thing, but still like her dance is sick and she's doing like a lot of like groovy bounce shit. And then I feel like when am I saying Relica? Yeah. When he started, it was like, no, this is Paris, motherfucker. Like, he had that energy of like, let's go. And it was oh, so then when she finished, it was like, wow, that was a really cool, different round. Then he started, and I was like, oh shit, that's that energy. And then she started again, and it's almost like she was like, not laughing at him, but like, oh, you're going to be all tough, I'm going to be fun. And I was like, oh, that is true. I am fun. Like, I do like fun dancing, and it was like, they were both capturing me again and again and again and again. So it was like, it was so cool to like, I felt like they were like, no, but my way is more fun. And then he's like, yeah, but I'm gangster. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm into that. And it's like, no, but I'm fun. And I'm like, oh, that's cool too. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, of like the really different energies. And like, I felt like they really, were responding to each other. And they really, I love watching like good level dancers when they have the confidence to like stick in their way of dancing, like she didn't feel, she didn't feel tempted to like try and do what he was doing, and he wasn't trying to do what she was doing. They were just like showing their thing and staying with their thing, and I love that. I love to see the difference in it,
I think even Luca said it's at the talking part as well. The importance for him to just do whatever he wants in the moment. And
and I think also when you have 2.5 minutes, 5 rounds, you really can't hide, like, or you can't fake it. Like, you're going to end up being yourself anyway. So you might as well not try to be fake. It's like, it's really hard to fake it for that long, especially when you get tired and run out of moves and ideas and stamina or whatever. But, I really enjoyed Umu's rounds. I'm trying to think who else I enjoyed as well. There was one guy that we hadn't seen before. Lewis really liked him. I liked him as well. Yuri.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was in the top
16.
16. Yeah, he lost in the top 16, I think, before the guests even.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
He was really interesting to watch. I'd never seen him before.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, I haven't seen him for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him from before, but I haven't seen him for a long time. So it was, refreshing as well to be able to see him in that, event, and also passing the pre-selection and all of that. So yeah, I
think, because I always talk about this with people, but like, I think if you think about like battles like sport, in the sense that, like, say in the Olympics, it's probably the best people in the world in the Olympics, pretty much, because it's whoever can run the fastest will progress through to get to the Olympic teams or whatever. So then you can look at the Olympics and go, oh, I'm seeing like the best in the world from every country. But I think with battling, it's not the case, because it's like there can be amazing people that are better than the people who are winning the big stuff. But unless you travel and go out of your own like pocket, basically, if you travel and go, people don't know about you. So, and there's people that have other priorities in life and don't want to travel as much, or, their dance is just their hobby or that type of thing. So I think that's the interesting thing about traveling that people forget sometimes, is like you might discover people who are like way better than you expect, or you're used to watching these big battles on YouTube and you've never seen this guy, but it's like, it doesn't mean he's not good. It might mean he has other priorities, or didn't feel like dancing for a while, or whatever it might be, personal issues or something. But then you go to these countries and you see like people, like, especially Paris is a great one for that, where it's like you see these people that you're like, you're amazing, but they just didn't get themselves to be in like Summer Dance or Just Taboo or whatever. So the world doesn't know about them.
Yeah.
But when you see them there, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And also it's the mindset thing as well. Because, some people are just really good at the battle game.
This is true.
Very good at the battle game. And to be really good at the battle game, you also need some reps, just putting the time of going and do battles. And some people, they just don't do that much,
or they don't find it fun,
and it's also, like you said, priorities, being on and off. For example, that was my case. I had a lot of when I started, yes, I was doing a lot of battles in Paris, when that was at a very early stage. And then after that, I started to just questioning a lot, the dance world and what else to do with it. So I was on and off. Right. And I could see people like Jimmy, for example, who was way more consistent in battles. Like, it's undeniable that the experience he has when it comes to battles, he can come up with someone who's doing like crazy stuff with his body, and he still managed to beat them with less things.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So it's also, understanding like it's a game. It's a game, and you just need to know how to play that game as well.
Yeah.
So, and some people, they're like, I would rather, just keep my dance the way it is, and I don't necessarily want to get too involved. And then they would, just do battles sometime and then get out of it, and then come back again. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like going back to the BTM thing, is like, that's why it's so nice to have different options, because it's like, if all the battles are the same, the choice is either do battles or don't do battles. Whereas if you have all these different formats that allow you to express in different ways, it's like, okay, I might not like that battle, but I do like that battle. And and there might be people that the BTM thing isn't for them, and they prefer like quick 30-second and it's like, cool, then, but you have that option. Exactly. You also have this option if you want to try that. Somebody else might do another event that has a different version, but the more options we have, the more everybody has a space to do their thing,
Exactly. I mean, I think it's like, if you have something in mind that you would love to see in the battle scene, create it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, just do it.
100%. I think we need more. I think we often have these things that like people. It's almost like gimmicky concepts in a way. Like, people are like, okay, when you, I don't know, you get there's I feel like there's a lot of battles that are like, okay, you're gonna have a 1v1, and then the second round you're gonna pick up someone and do a 2v2, then you're going to do a 3v3, but then someone comes out and you do a 2v2 and then it's a one, just like, it's all about the like team thing or whatever. And it's like, okay, fine, that's not so bad. Or there's like a lot of other concepts where it's like, okay, you're going to dance with a prop or I don't know, these type of things. But I feel like we need more concepts like yours where it's like not necessarily the same concept, but stuff that allows you to express in a different way. So it's like, I mean, that's kind of what the Nike battle that we did end of last year. It was all styles, but on like certain types of music, right? So we did hip hop, drill and grime, Afro and dancehall, and then house and garage. And my idea was like, because every time there's an all styles battle, I feel like nobody's happy because you always like sacrificing your dance in some way. It's like maybe you're a hip hop dancer, but then you're going to dance on a disco track and you're going to be silly to like make the crowd laugh. And you're not really doing your art, or you're a whacker and you're going to get a crump song and you're like, okay, it's not really my thing. But at least with this, it's like, okay, if you listen to hip hop, drill and grime, no matter if you're a popper, like probably we practice to the stuff that we like listening to, right? So then it's like, okay, you should be able to like really express yourself on the music that you like and be a bit more serious about it. And I think we need more concepts like that is like allows people to like, yours is like, okay, you have more time. That my one was like, okay, you have the music that you like. Someone else's could be like, I don't know, maybe it's a cypher concept that's not necessarily about one versus one, but there's the energy of everybody. These type of things like change the way you dance and give you different ways to express yourself. And I think we need more of that. Even like the ones I said, like jack of all trades, I love this dance, fusion concept. It's like allows you to express in different ways with different rules, and rather than just being like, oh, this is funny, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. As long as we can follow, because sometimes it goes a little bit. But I mean, as long that the crowd can follow and the dancers can follow as well, then I think it's I would say it's good as well to just ask yourself, okay, what would be my dream event? What would be my dream battle or event or concept, something like this, because this is pretty much, how BTM kind of came together.
Sick.
Not just as an event, but as a project, all together. A funny story. My before dance, I used to play football a lot, and one day I was playing football with my brother, and then after football we went home, and we were really thirsty, right? And then the moment we went home, we went to the fridge and to grab some fresh water. And then he started drinking. And then he gave him the bottle. I drink. When you're really, really thirsty and then you drink, it's such a great feeling, right?
Yeah.
So we drink. And then I look at the bottle of water and I said to my brother, you know what? When God created water, he was inspired, man. And my brother said, nah, Nikhil, when God created water, he was not inspired. He was thirsty.
This is a good
and and I think, my point is, it's exactly what happened for me, with BTM. I saw a gap.
That's such a good story. It feels like a Bible, like a parable in the Bible.
Bruv, when he said that, it was so funny. But when I think back at it,
it's so deep.
It's so interesting, even if it's not true. But it's so interesting because, most of the best ideas come from what you need. And that's what happened with me, with BTM. It's just, creating something that I needed. And if I need it as a dancer, potentially some other dancers could see the value in it.
100%. And I think that's like the value of, like, say, even with as an artist, is like, if you create the work that you want to see, or like you become the dancer that you would like to watch. Like, one of the biggest things that I'm happy about with my dance, like, I haven't achieved anything really in battles, or like, it wasn't a success thing. But what I love now is that, like, when I dance, I actually enjoy watching myself. I'm like, I watch my rounds and I don't feel like, oh, that shit. I'm like, I actually like watching this, right? And it's like, that was always my aim, is like become a dancer that I would like to watch. And I think if you're a choreographer, it's like, make the work that you would want to sit down and watch. As an event organizer, make the event you would want to go to, it's like you filling that gap that doesn't exist in the world. And probably if you're a dancer, if you're a choreographer, whatever, there's probably other people that feel the same, and they're the people that are going to be your audience, you know?
Yeah. And to piggyback on what you said, you know, this is not the case for most dancers. Because when I talk to, you know, my student in BTM and things like that, or even when I do workshop and stuff like that, when I ask them, who is for example, your top 5 dancers? They will never, in the 5 dancers, they will never put themselves. So then I said, you know, so why not make this your goal to be able to objectively say one day, okay, these top 5 dancers, there's this guy, and myself. You know, like objectively, can you do that? You know, can you achieve this?
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, like this is already, you know, a good achievement when you are able to objectively say, okay, I'm part of the top 5 dancers that I love the most.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's like, it's a really, it shifts your mindset of like how you see yourself as well. It's like almost like I don't know how to say that, but like it's almost like a self-esteem type building exercise almost, because it's like, if you think of yourself as like one of the dancers that you like, you're not putting yourself below the dancers that you like. You're there with them. You know what I mean? Like I talked about this a few times when I'm teaching, but it's the same. Like that's why I see it as a big achievement for me, even outside of battles or something. Is like, even now I could cypher with people who I consider like the best dancers in the world. I have a little bit more experience. That's why I'm not as nervous, I guess, as maybe someone younger. But still, the point is like, I can cypher with them and maybe accept that I'm not as good as them, but I have something to bring to the table. Like I can go in and be like, yeah, you're not going to be bored. Like you're going to be like, oh, that's cool. Like if it's a battle, okay, I might lose. If it's a cypher and we're exchanging, I feel like I have enough. My movement is developed enough. I have enough creativity. I like the stuff that I do, that I can contribute to that experience. And I think it's like, that's for me is more important, because it's like I'm seeing myself as like, okay, there's all these dancers, but outside of a competition context, I'm one of them. Like we're all valid together. It's not like, it's only if we have to place ourselves in a battle context that I would put myself below. But otherwise it's like I'm just as valid as an artist as anyone else.
Exactly.
But that took me a long time to get there. There was a lot of time where I'm like, I can't even, like, oh, Nikel's here, I can't even look at him, you know, like, you know, or whoever is like, you see people that are dope and you're like, oh, I'm worse than them, and you just drill that into your head that you're worse than them. You see, and it's like, it doesn't matter outside of a battle context. And the more you start thinking of yourself, actually, the more you're going to get wins and whatever, you know. And
that's so powerful, you know, to think this way, but also it's something that you can cultivate, you know, from the get go. You know, it's just, we know it later, you know. We know it later because I remember once when I was much younger as well, Polyrix, you know Polyrix?
He's one of my early inspirations. Okay. Like when I first started hip hop, I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, I want to dance like that. Like he was like one of the first, like maybe first 5 people that I was watching in the beginning. I love that guy. But yeah.
So we was at a battle and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I danced during that battle, and I think I did maybe a round that was really good, and then but I still lost. Okay, right? I still lost that battle, and then at some point he came to me, and then we were discussing, and he said something. He said, "You know, Nikel, you are good, but you will be very good. Like you will be really strong when you understand what you have. But for the moment, I can tell that you are doing it randomly. You know, like sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen, but you don't control it yet.
Wow.
But when you will understand that what you have, you will be like really strong."
That's a really insightful feedback.
And And when he said that, unfortunately, at that time, I said thank you and all of that, but I couldn't understand what he meant.
Yeah. You're like, okay, so what do I work on? Exactly. Like, help me.
Exactly. What do I do with this?
You're looking in the mirror in the studio, like, how do I know what I've got?
That's the thing. But it took me literally years, to understand what he was talking about, and I understand now that he was not even talking just about dance. It's like understanding what you have, so that you can not only have an impact on yourself as an artist, but also potentially have an impact, in the community as a whole, and so to me, like, this is something, unfortunately, most of the time it takes us a lot of years of experience before we can realize, what we have, so
100%, man.
So yeah, but the level that you have now, imagine you had like, let's say, when we first met, when I first came in London, when we first met, you were already, really good in battles, and you were already good, a really good dancer. No, but
I'll take it back.
You're saying this because you look at, yourself.
True.
But I like to compare it based on what was happening at that time.
Right.
Because when I look at myself dancing 15 years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even watch this. But I was passing the preparation with that level.
True,
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is, why I'm saying, that was good already, but you didn't have, the mentality that you have now to validate what you were doing before. So that's the thing where I'm like, okay, I wish more people are able to cultivate that mindset, from the get-go, meaning, okay, what I've got right now is what I've got right now, but I can make the most of it right now.
100%. Like, even I was thinking about BTM, I was like that's an event where I feel like if I don't know that I would do well necessarily in terms of like winning the battle or anything, but it's like any of those, and like for the record, like all of those dancers were amazing in the top 8 at least after the guests came in. But I was looking at it and I was like, if you put me into the top 8 against one of those guests or against someone who got through or whatever, it's like I think I could dance, like,
you're gonna push yourself
against them. Yeah, and I think because for me, especially, like, giving me 5 rounds and 2.5 minutes each, like, and I can really get into the song. But I think my weakness sometimes is that I can't play the battle game. So like, I don't trust that if I went to BTM next year, I don't trust that I could necessarily get through the prelims, or like, I think I'm better at it than some people, but I'm not as good as other people in the battle game. So I'm like, I don't know that I could get to the point where it's 5 rounds. But if I did, I think I could have a good, like, I could watch my battle back and be really happy with it, even if I lost. Because I think it's like, that's the type of event that I would do, like, I could enjoy, or I could do well at, like, giving myself the time and space to, like, create, I guess.
Yeah. Like you said, you will. I think, I'm sure you will, just because you will have the time to do it.
Yeah. But I think some people, some people need the shorter time limit. Like, they peak early and then they don't know where to go from there. It's like everybody has a different, like, way of building their dance, I guess. But yeah.
But not when you've been dancing for over like 15 years.
True.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's yeah. But no, but that's a really good point what you said about, like, people wouldn't put themselves in their top 5 dancers. Yeah. But I think that's a great way to train. Like, when it's like when you judge and then someone comes to you and says, oh, what should I work on? It's like, sometimes I'm like, well, what do you want to work on? Because it's like, I can tell you, and I might have brought this up last time we did the pod, but it's a year ago, so maybe some of you weren't listening. But my friend Valmira from Switzerland, she's a hip hop dancer from a while back, and she told me something when we were training in Switzerland, like, that I was like, I always fucking remember this. But like, she said, when people give you feedback on your dance, a lot of the time they're giving you feedback on how they want to see you dance, not how to get good at how you want to dance. Which is the different, like, it's like, oh yeah, you need to have more flow in your thing and you need to use more. No, that's what you want me to do, but you didn't even ask me what I want to do. So like, now when people ask me, like, okay, how can I get better? Or I'm like, okay, but what you're trying to achieve, and B is like, how do you want to achieve it? Because if I say to you, oh, do this, and that'll make you win all the battles, and then they say, well, I don't want to win battles. I just want to have a unique style of dance. Then it's like, okay, well then forget everything I just said and do this stuff instead, you know? Or if they say, I don't care about my artistic expression, I just want to win everything. It's like, okay, cool, but that's a different road, you know? So I think it's important to think about that, because like depending on what you want to do, but I think like what I was going to say is that it's a good way to train, where I do this now when I train because it's my priorities are a bit different, but I film myself. Every round I do, I film back to back, and then I watch it and I'm just like, what do I not like? And it doesn't matter if it's good technique, but like there's like, I always say this when I teach about like the hip hop social grooves and stuff. There's like, I know a lot of them, but there's a big portion of them that I don't like using in my dance. It doesn't fit with how I dance. I think it looks stupid on me. There's just certain stuff that I don't use for the sake of it. But it's like, that's the point. It's like you build your dance of like how you like watching it. And sometimes there's stuff that it's like in my round, like if I showed you, you wouldn't be able to, if I said, oh, point out the thing I don't like, you wouldn't know. But it's just a little, the way I turn my leg or something. I'm like, it looks ugly when I do that. I don't like it. And then I'll keep in my head like, no, you always turn your leg in, don't step out because that looks weird when you do that. Or you do this thing with your hand that looks weird. And it's like, it's not good or bad. It's just my preference. And what I'm trying to do is like build the, you know what I mean? Like chip away all the rough edges and make the thing that looks the most beautiful to me first, you know?
Yeah. You know, that's so interesting because I recently been trying to challenge myself with that, because I'm pretty similar in that area where I would, you know, watch myself and see some position and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Why am I doing this? You know, and consciously trying to get rid of it. But then now I'm starting to say to myself, okay, but if it's keep happening, there's a reason. Because I'm freestyling, and when I'm, you know, I'm doing it, you know, I end up, you know, in that position or that I don't necessarily like. What if I start just, you know, embracing it? You know, it's I'm not saying what I'm saying right now, this is what you should be doing, but I'm just saying that this is me trying to see a different perspective of that, because I'm so spontaneous when I'm dancing, even though there are certain things I'm like, okay, when I'm freestyling calm at home, I do it in a certain way. But when I'm dancing in public, there are certain things, you know, I don't control. They just go.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if it's coming back, then maybe me trying to force it and trying to, you know, get rid of it, it's not necessarily, you know, the path, you know, for me as well.
Yeah.
And then I start to be like, okay, I'm just going to accept this because it's just part of my way of moving right now.
Yeah.
And let's see how it goes, you know. Sometimes they I don't see them anymore. And sometimes, you know, they stay, but I still manage to kind of integrate them, you know, in my way of moving. So I'm just, you know, putting this out there as well, because it can also be a solution.
And I think like there's with habits, like even if they're bad or good, it doesn't matter, but just like things that you said, you keep finding yourself doing the same thing. I think it's like, I kind of agree with what you're saying, where the hard thing is to like stop yourself. So like, let's say you always get in the same position. Like it happens a lot with people with floor work. Like they get stuck in the same place on the floor every time, right? It can be like on one knee or lying down. They always go to the floor. They're like, damn, I'm stuck again. And I think one way that people tend to do it is like they feel themselves going and they pull back to do something else. But I think what I would do is like, and this is what I would tell people if I'm training with them, is like, okay, say there's one position where you always get stuck. Go to that position right now and find 10 ways to like move out of it. So then every time you like let it happen, it's going to happen. You're going to get stuck there. But then as soon as you get stuck there, now that's not the end of the sentence. You have like 10 different ways to move through it, and then it doesn't feel like you're stuck, because it's like, okay, we're just moving through this point to go that way. So I think that's also a way of like
embracing your flaws, basically. You know, this way. So
and using them as like a thing to create from, you know, because it's gonna happen naturally anyway that you get there. Like it happens to all of us. That is like we're just moving without thinking. With me, it's like Jenny's always making fun of me because I always grab my elbow. And it's such a thing that like it's like it's like I always end up here like doing I don't know why, it's just a habit of like everything is grabbing my elbow, right? But then it's like, okay, that would be a problem if I didn't have a lot of stuff from it. So I get here and I say, I do that and then I'm done, or I do it again and I'm done. But because I use it and I don't think of it as something bad, it's just something that I do, I have loads of different ways to move from it. So it's like, yeah, it's a habit, or it's a way of it's something that happens unconsciously, but it almost, the bad habit in a way, like almost sparks creativity, because I'm like, oh, I'm here, like, cool, I feel powerful, like I have a lot of stuff from here. If you put me in a weird position that I've never been in before, I have no ideas because I've never been there. Does it make sense?
Yeah. It does. And also all that, when we kind of reverse engineering ourselves like this, then over time, based on what your friend told you about people who's going to tell you to dance the way they would like you to dance, but when you keep on creating so much awareness about yourself like that, the most powerful things about this is the fact that you're now able to filter information, because now we live in the information age, where there's so much information, and I don't see this as a bad thing, but everyone who's also giving information, I think it's also now our duty to help people who are receiving those information, to teach them how to filter as well.
This is so true. This is why I think with your BTM is so important, because you need to have, as well as asking for feedback from judges or from your friend, you need like a mentor. Not always, but if you can't do it for yourself, you need a mentor to like, which I assume you are for some of your students, where it's like they collect all this information or all these thoughts, they bring it to you and they say, I have all this information, like which ones do I listen to? And you say, okay, well, which one do we listen to? Like you tell me, like, and work through it like that.
Most importantly, the question I love asking them is that your timing? Is that your timing? Because I can tell you, okay, yeah, but you could work, on your footwork and do this, you will improve it. And maybe, the information that I'm giving you is good advice, but is it your timing? Do you feel like, you want to work on that now, or you put it on the shelf and you will do it later? Yeah. You see, that's the thing. And do this with pretty much whatever you want, because, not too long ago, there was one of my students, she also teach, and then she sent me a message, because she was, frustrated about, a situation about, foundations. Okay. And she was saying that, but Nikhil, I'm trying to, to teach, those foundations, and, and because this is something important, and people, the student, they need to learn all of this. And I'm listening, and then I said, the thing is, for me, even foundation is something that, if you stay long in the game, you will quickly realize that you cannot escape it. No matter how creative you are, you want to do your thing, great. But at some point, you're gonna have to go back to the foundations, and then later on go back to them again and go back to them again. So this is something you cannot escape. Yeah. So and she said, yeah, I agree with that. So therefore, if you agree with that, and you know that if you stay long enough in the game, no one can escape the foundations. So give them the time to meet the foundation at their own time. Don't force it on them. Yeah. See, don't force it to them, because the passionate ones, they will stay longer. Yeah. And because they will stay longer, they cannot skip the foundations. So like this, you don't have the thing like, okay, no, they need to learn this now.
I mean, going back to your story, it's kind of like you need to make them thirsty. You know what I mean? It's like, kind of. It's like, okay, they're gonna play with the stuff that's fun. They're gonna do the cool stuff. They're gonna hit all the beats and memorize the song and do the fun stuff that we all did at the beginning. We all learn waves first and glides and the fun stuff, right? Eventually, after you don't get through your 16th prelim, you're going to say, what am I missing? Yeah. I'm thirsty. Now teach me the listen, people that, I don't know how many people that listen that know me from like when I first started. I'm the typical, now all the stuff I teach, where it's like about the bounce and even the way I dance now, at the very beginning, I was the least bounce person. I just used to do popping. Like, I just wanted to do tricks. Like, I was watching all the French dances. And in those days, there wasn't really like the way you guys had in Paris, like people like Salas, and even like the way that Feist would include some like tracing and stuff. Here, it really hadn't come here yet. And I was really like loving the French dances. And I wasn't doing really I just was doing kind of like what I was saying, you know. But it was really that. It's like, you know, I get older, I get more mature, I understand the dance a bit more, I understand the music a bit more. And then now, you know, okay, when I'm younger, I'm like, yeah, but tuts and stuff look so cool and all these concepts. And that was like what I loved at that time because I was 19 and it's fair. And then at some point you start to understand music and then you start to say, okay, when a J Dilla track is on, it doesn't feel right to just hit the beats of it. I'm not hitting ta-ta-ta in the back of a J Dilla track. I'm like, man, I need to bounce on this. And then I'm like bouncing and I'm like, but it feels awkward. I don't know how to bounce and move my arms at the same time. I need to work on my bounce and make it fit. And now I feel like I have a good grasp of like, how do I dance with my tricks and stuff.
So I mean, you know, even though we said, okay, it's good to, you know, respect, you know, someone else's timing, but based on what you were saying, a teacher as well can kind of trick the timing a little bit, you know, based on what the student is thirsty about, you know, because sometimes he's thirsty about something, but then he doesn't necessarily know how to work on it. And you're like, okay, yeah, but if you want to get that outcome, you could, you know, try this, you know, and then they will kind of be more in line with, you know, your advice and actually be willing, you know, to apply it as well. So, but once again, all that to say, like, I think as we learn, creating a higher level of awareness as well is good, especially now. I think is crucial, because otherwise you really gonna feel overwhelmed by, you know, so many information.
That's the thing, and everybody has a different thing that you should do or that you should learn next. And I think I'm gonna really mess this up, but like there's a quote that's like, if you want to go nowhere, ask everybody for directions. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of true. It's like, you just, oh, where should I go? Oh yeah, it's down there. And then I ask you, oh yeah, it's back that way. And I'm like, ugh. Like, and I see people do this all the time with their dance. And it, you know, if I can tell them, but then I'm going to be another person. You know, sometimes people just don't want to listen, or we don't have a connection well enough for them to really listen to me or whatever. But it's like, sometimes you just see every time, like, people don't have necessarily a teacher or whatever, and then they go and they say, oh, why didn't I get through? And they say this, why didn't I get through this? And it's like, oh yeah, you didn't use enough foundation. And then you go to the next one, you use foundation, and then they say, oh yeah, it wasn't like exciting enough. And you say, oh, okay. And then you go back and practice tricks, and they say, oh, you didn't use the floor. And it's like, but you think that it's like an objective truth, kind of, when you're beginning, you're like, this person said no foundation, then this person said exciting. It's like, but it's like what you don't see is that they're both subjectively seeing your dance from different perspectives, and they thinking what they want to see, and probably judging from how they want to see. So it's like you can't really rely on that. All you can rely on is, and I think I'm lucky in this way that I kind of built a lot of my dance like this, but is like taking everybody's comments on your dance and bringing it like almost on like a mood board in your head of like all the different comments, and be like, okay, which ones do I agree with? Which ones do I disagree with? And then almost like crossing off the stuff I disagree with. And to be honest, what happened is like some stuff, like you said about your timing, there's some stuff when I was younger that I was told and I was like, nah, cross it off. And then it's like 4 or 5 years later, I was like, what's under there? And I'm like, shit, maybe they were right. And like I follow advice from 5-6 years ago that I didn't follow at the time because it wasn't the time.
Yeah, because it's your timing now, you know? And because now it's your timing, when you open it, you fully apply it.
And you understand it as well. You're like, oh yeah, because you're thirsty. You know, it's like trying to drink water when you're not thirsty is a bit like, why? But when you're really thirsty, that same glass of water is like, woo.
Oh, you know? That's the thing. So yeah, I think it's a really good thing. I mean, if you can, you know, take one thing from, you know, that podcast is probably this, you know, become much better at filtering information based on your timing. That would be, you know, remove so much headache.
Yeah. And you kind of, also it's a process of like learning to trust yourself, because I think sometimes we not all of us, but a lot of people want someone else to tell them the right way to dance. You can't, it seems like it because we have a battle circuit and we have wins and losses. It seems like there's one right way to dance, but there isn't. And it's like, if I come to you and I say, Nikhil, what's the right way to dance now? It's like, I mean, me and you have known each other for a long time, but for you to, or for someone to give me advice on my dance, or for me to give you advice or whatever, I would have to know not only your dance really well, but your objectives. Like I would have to really, really understand you to be able to go, okay, now I deeply understand where you're trying to go. I can give you my opinion on how to go there. But if you just say, watch this video of me and tell me how I can be better, bruh, there's 90% chance I'm going to say nothing.
That's why most of the time when I receive, because that I do, those videos online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do receive quite often messages, on Instagram asking questions. And most of the time I do not answer. Reason why is because most of the time the questions are very broad.
Yeah.
Like, how do I work on my musicality? Or how do I improve my musicality or footwork or something like that, right? And then for me, I know that to answer this question, I will not necessarily do you a service, because the only way I could potentially help is by asking, a lot of questions before.
Like spending a lot of time to understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now if I start doing this, then it's going to take way too much of my time.
And I have a whole program where you can do this,
Yeah, I mean, I don't even refer them to any program or stuff like that, but it's more like I know the time that would take to give, an accurate answer.
Bro,
so that's why the only time that I usually, answer is when someone come with a very specific question.
Yeah.
You can tell that person have like a very clear something very clear something. No, I don't even. I was going to say very clear something, but it doesn't sound right.
Something very clear?
Yeah, something very clear in mind.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then at that stage, I was like, okay, this person actually took the time to think about this question. And then, if I've got the time, I will, I'll answer
100%.
it. But it's very hard. It's not even because I want to ignore those people, but it's more like I know that if I, I'm going to be one of maybe 100 people who gave you, generic answers,
Bro, or I can tell you, but you're not going to like the answer. Because sometimes they're like, oh, how can I be better at this or something? And it's like, I think a lot of time people just want a magic answer. Like they want the key to, if you do this one thing, it'll be fixed tomorrow. And like 90% of the time when there's someone says, oh, how can I get better at popping? It's like, pop every day for 4 years. You'll probably get better. Even if you don't know what you're doing, chances are you'll get better. Like, and this is not a fun answer, or it's like, oh, how can I, anything really is like, how can I make my floor work better? Do floor work every day for 4 years. Like, this is a boring answer. And if you want more nuanced answer, then I need to ask loads of questions. We need to work on that. But if you're going to give me a generic answer, a generic question, most of the time, the answer is just keep trying. And this is no fun.
This is no fun.
And it's like, that's not what you're here for. I can answer it, but you're going to hate me. Or you're not going to listen because you're like, oh, it's not a real answer or whatever. It's like, just keep fucking doing it.
Yeah, that's because most of the time, the question you ask, you already know the answer, But
you don't like it. And you want a different, you want someone to go like, oh, but do this. And then it changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. I mean, that's why also, at BTM, like you said, being able to dance that many rounds, you cannot hide. You cannot hide, and therefore you need to be one of the people who spend time, practicing for real. Yeah. And then whenever you have like, those 5 rounds to do, you can handle them, So this is the whole thing, because one of my favorite things to do in dance is to go to other people's training sessions and then just exchange with them, because I feel like this is when I get to know the dancer the most. Yeah. And every time that I do this, I realize that what I see in battles from them and when I'm exchanging with them, it's not the same thing as well. Yeah. At all. And most of them, like you can see that they have way more vocabulary than all of this. Yeah. So yeah, it does take time, but at the same time it's great, that it's taking time, because I think that's why we keep on doing it, because it's hard for us to see the limit of it, you know?
Yeah, there's always more you can do, more you can work on. It's just fun to work on yourself as a dancer anyway, even if it's not for battles or for whatever.
It should be fun.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask is about the choreo contest. So for those that don't know, the way the choreo contest works is that every choreographer comes with 2 dancers. They do the piece that they've made that I think is like a maximum of like 5 minutes, something. How long?
It's between 2 to 3.
Oh, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. And then they do it immediately again. I didn't know if it was going to be, they do it all with 3 and then you start again and show it all, but it's literally one after another. Exactly, so the 3 of them dance, and then as soon as that's finished, they go again and the choreographer dances by themselves. Sometimes out of breath and just, okay, go straight. So it's a good challenge for that. But it is really, it's interesting because Lewis came with me and he doesn't do hip hop and doesn't watch a lot of hip hop anyway, and doesn't do really choreo, and is kind of more interested in that now. So it was interesting. Like, he was really learning a lot from the event with hip hop and everything. It was just really interesting. And when the first thing happened, I was explaining to him the rules, and he was like, "Why do they do it? Like, what's the point of doing it with 3 and then 1? Like, we've already seen it." And I was like, "Okay, watch the first one and then see." So he watched the first one, and then I was like, did it feel different both times? And he was like, "Actually, yeah." And I was like, "Okay, which one did you prefer?" And then he was like, "Oh, for that one, I prefer the solo or whatever." And then the next one, he's like, "Actually, that one is better with 3. And I'm like, "Okay, this is why." Because first of all, it's like it's 2 different experiences, a solo and a trio.
Yeah.
And you start to see things like differently. Like when you see someone do it as a solo, you might be like, "Oh, that's how it was meant to be." Or you're like, "Actually, maybe it was meant to be choreographed on 3. So when you're doing like there was something in the crump one where they grabbed the heads and then they turned. For sure, that was choreographed with the 3 in mind. But then there's some things when they do it as a solo, when you're like, "Oh, that was choreographed as a solo, that part," and then they just put it on 3 dance. So you start to see things differently. I think it's really insightful, like to watch it twice in 2 different contexts, to be like, you see the art. It's almost like seeing a sculpture and then walking to the back of the sculpture and looking at it. You know what I mean? It's like you're seeing the same art, but from 2 different perspectives, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I see it a little bit differently both times." Like, not worse or better, but just different.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting for me to watch this because some people they kill it at both. Some choreographers most choreographers they kill it with the dancers, but then for some of them it's harder, to handle that creation by themselves.
This is what I was thinking. If I was doing it, I would struggle with the solo part. And I was like, God, how would I even, like, I was thinking about it when I was watching, I was like, how would I even choreograph something that looks good with 3? Because I'm so used to, if I was to choreograph with bodies, and like I've never done a solo, I don't think. Like I've done a couple of short solos, but not anything like choreographed. It was more just freestyling with a bit of structure. Yeah. So I was like, how would I even choreograph something that in the same event has to look good with 3 people and look good when I do it? So like all the cannons that I might use, I've got to find a replacement, or I've got to choreograph it so that there's no cannons. Or I was like, that's a really good challenge, I think, for people.
Yeah. And like the source of this idea, it came from something so basic. Like I used to watch like choreographers when they do when they teach, and often choreographers after their class they choose some dancers, they do the choreography.
True. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then at the end, everybody's waiting for them, to do the choreography on their own. And when I was watching this, as when I watched this, I'm like, it's almost like a performance for me, because I was also looking forward to see, when he's doing it with his crew, with his dancers, and then when he's doing it by himself, the look of it, by himself, and for me, like, and this is how it literally clicked. And I was in London because I started this concept in London, Choreo.
I remember, at JoJo's.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, let me just put this, as a show, because
it was sick.
Yeah, it could work. you know, and yeah, this is you know, where I came up, you know, with this idea is because it's happening in classes already, you know.
I'd never made that connection, but that's actually a good connection.
Yeah, this is where it started basically. And yeah, but now it's but the more I see it, the more I also see that there is like more layers to it, because people also start to creating they show in their mind that they know, okay, they're gonna be doing it, you know, as a solo performance later as well. So the way they create it is different as well. So yeah. But yeah, it's a very interesting concept for me, and
I love it.
Yeah,
and I think it fits so nicely with the other concept as well. Like the whole experience of the weekend is like
giving you space to express yourself, and now you have 2 times to express the same choreography. So it's still, you know, in line with the whole idea. Yeah,
there's definitely I'm gonna tell more people about it, but like there's some people I'd love to see Tally do it. Like there's some like UK choreographers that I think I would love to see going.
You know, Joke had told me that last time when we were talking about it after the event, and he said, "Hey Nikhil, if you have UK choreographers, they're gonna win all the time." They're gonna win all the time, bro. No, but because some of
there's
them
some good ones, yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to see some of them. Do
you have guests for the choreo, or no? You just have like open slots, or how do you do that?
I'm gonna start opening slot.
So
well.
like for next year, people will be able to apply.
Yeah,
or?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, people will be able to apply now. Yeah, Sick. Yeah.
Bro, when that opens, tell me I'm gonna send it to people.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that.
That would be I think that's such a sick concept. Also, I don't know how diplomatic you want to be, but me and Cynthia were like debating in backstage after the choreo thing. We were debating like who we thought should win.
Okay.
While the judges were making their decision, we were like eating and be like, no, I think this person and I think this person. And you know what's so funny is like, again, Lewis was with us backstage. And obviously Cynthia is like really experienced with dance and, does a lot of shows and this type of thing. And I've done a lot of choreography stuff. And obviously through the capsule and stuff, like I studied stuff and in school. Lewis has no really idea about choreo stuff.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, why is this? Or why, like, I thought they were good. And I'm like, no, like this person will win. And he's like, no, I thought that, but I'm like, no, they're definitely not going to win. Or whatever it was, I was like, no, because of this. And I think they're better because of this and this and whatever. And then I was kind of like, me and Cynthia were talking and we disagreed with certain bits, but we kind of had a similar outlook, but she had a different preference, right? And then Lewis, he was like, oh, I must not know anything because the people I have are like completely different to you two. And we're like kind of telling him like, well, it's because of this. And then they did the announcement and he was right with all of his, like everyone that he said, he was like, I think they're first, second, and all of these people were in the top. Me and Cynthia had like 1 or 2, but the people that we thought, like I had Daphne to win. I was like, she was. I thought she was the best, like choreographically. She wasn't even in the top 4. And then I can't remember who Lewis really liked. I think it was maybe the B-Boys that came second. Yeah. And like, I think me and Cynthia didn't have them in our. No, Cynthia did maybe. I can't remember, but it was like, it was so funny because we were like, oh, maybe Lewis is the one that knows the most.
But for me, like if my preferences was Lumino.
Who was that one?
Electro guy.
The very first.
That
was who Lewis said. Okay. Lewis said I really liked him as well.
So it was like Lumino and Mounier.
The B-boy.
Yeah, the B-boy. I mean, for me, like these two, I thought they would have been at least, in the top 3.
Yeah, the B-boy one was really good. I liked how it didn't feel like it felt like a contemporary performance with breaking. It didn't feel like a B-boy, like we're just gonna do break beats,
But at the same time, he kept the B-boying approach as well.
Yeah, it was really nice.
The
balance.
Second half of of the choreography, but I mean
I really liked Reverse. She was amazing, like that the one that won.
Yeah, I mean, what I found very that I respect and that I found really challenging in what she offered, and I think this is probably why she won as well, is the fact that she transformed her freestyle into a choreography to a high level.
Right, true. I'd never seen her before, so I don't know her freestyle. I just saw the performance. She does like that.
She danced in a similar way.
Okay.
Right? Like obviously like it's more stage, because it's a choreography.
Yeah. And the song and everything.
Yeah. But I respect the fact that you don't see Rivers doing freestyle and Rivers doing choreography. It was her way of moving. And then when she started doing this like a coordination thing with her chest and then
that was so good.
This is purely freestyle exercises.
True.
And then she choreographed that.
And on the music and the right.
Yeah, this was really, really on point,
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the things probably that make her win in the eyes of
True.
of the judges. So she stands out with that for me.
Yeah, I really like Daphne's. I hadn't seen her either. Daphne, right? Yeah, with the guitar.
Yeah.
I feel like that one, I was like,
it was more a theater piece.
That's what I mean. But I guess it depends how you're judging it or whatever. Because for me, that was kind of why I had her as like one of the best ones. Because I was like, hers was one of the only pieces that I'm like, oh, you could take that and make it into an hour-long theatre piece and it would be sellable. The other ones I was like, okay, this is good, but you couldn't keep this for an hour. You'd have to change. That one I was like, oh, you could really, it seemed like the most mature, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess, it's to how you judge.
Sorry. Yeah, it was really, this was for sure a great performance. But then the only thing is, even one of the judges was not sure about it as well because of the concept, because in between there are so many improvisation, so you're like, okay, but when she's gonna be doing the solo, it doesn't really look like exactly what she previously done.
You know what's so annoying? And, this is what Lewis said. Exactly, like that's what that he told me and Cynthia why he didn't put her, because he was like, it's not as like choreographed as the others, and it's like he was right.
So she didn't completely follow the concept, that's why. But in terms of performances, what she it was really good.
I think my only this is what I was saying to Lewis when we were debating in the back, is like the only thing I would push back on is like saying like, you can look at choreography as like choreographing the moves, or you can look at the choreography more in a like movement direction sense of like, choreographing doesn't literally have to be like, put your arm here, put your arm here. It can be like, okay, me and you are going to travel from this side of the room to that side of the room, and I want us to both travel in a way that feels like we're being dragged backwards. This is choreography, but it's not, I'm not telling you anything. You know what I mean? So if I look at it in that way of like, okay, it doesn't look like, if she didn't give them any direction and she doesn't do anything, then okay, you weren't choreographing as much. But it looked to me like she had kind of directed and molded the whole piece, but from a wider angle.
Yeah, she did.
So that's why I was like, oh, that's actually maybe a more mature approach to it than put your arm here, put your arm here. But also I get why it's like, it depends how you want to judge it and how you want to view that. But then it's become
more tricky, for the judges,
Of course, yeah. And especially with the follow.
And especially she was the only person doing this as well. So, I understand why. But at the same time, I think because the choreography piece, part, I see it as a whole, not one show.
Two. There's like the 3 and the 1, like
the 10 choreographers. I see it as a whole show.
Okay.
And even the choices as well, like trying to add so many variations. So for me, in the end, she contributed to that show.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean?
And when I was looking at it, even though I felt like, okay, in terms of the following exactly the rules, some people could get confused about that. But as a whole experience, she definitely contributed to that show. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And who else did I like? Yeah, Reverse I liked. Daphne. I did like the B-Boys and that crew that came first, that were first. The guy that was first. Who else? There was the dancehall piece. I don't know. Listen, I have to play this song for you guys at home. I swear, like as soon as the song started, when they started, Kevin was in front of me and he turned around and like was like, this song. And then, bro, I had it on repeat since I got back from Paris. I've had it on repeat, guys. I have to play you this. You probably know it. It's called Company, but I had never heard it, and like there's something different about hearing a song for the first time live in a battle or like in a you know when you hear it on big speakers. This, bro, this song is like they use that for the thing. I was like, I need the name of that song. It's so good, and like they really dance. That's another like compliment as well, because it's similar to me like with music videos, whereas like if there's a bad music video, I don't love the song as much. If there's a really good music video, it can like make me fall in love with the song even more.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like there's about their performance, like how I heard the song for the first time with that performance is like how I'm going to remember that song for the rest of my life. So it's like, it's a really big moment to like be introduced to a song that you love like that. Cause now it's like how they curated the visuals is like part of why I love the song.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You will always remember them through that song as
exactly.
well.
Yeah. And like the feeling that they gave me watching, and they were sick. I really liked that.
Oh yeah, man. Me too. I really love it because, you know, Munchie's got such a pure flow in my opinion, you know, and she choreographed like the show in a way. It's almost like it's so organic.
It didn't look like choreography. It looked like they just all decided to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like they all happen to do the same movement at the same time, but
which is so like for anyone that doesn't choreograph, that's so hard, because the thing is, when you're choreographing, you're playing a song, you're doing a movement, then you're stopping the song and maybe doing the movement and what comes next and blah, blah. And it's a very different thing from when you're freestyling and you're moving whatever feels naturally. Like there is a technique that you can use where you dance the routine up until the point that you're at and then keep freestyling what comes next and try to remember or film it and try to lock in what you did as a freestyle to the next bit and then dance up to there and then keep freestyling. I don't know if that's how she did it, but I for sure find it difficult to like maintain the flow. Like sometimes I think a routine has a flow, and then when I watch it back after I've done it, I'm like, it's dead. Like I shouldn't have stopped at that point. I should have let that move flow. If I was freestyling, I would have felt the flow of the song. Whereas when you're stopping and starting, you kind of think that the end of a section that's the place to change flow or change energy, and it's not. It's really difficult skill, I think. So I think when she did that, you're right. It's like it kept the flow as if she was freestyling, which is so hard to do.
So exactly. Yeah, it is hard to do, and that's why this technique that you're talking about, this is pretty much how I choreograph all the time. I freestyle and save, some part of the freestyle, and then I add it on. And then when I do it, with other people, this is only the part where I start, polishing and creating some extra effect or stuff like that. But because that's the way that I try to make it as organic as possible. And whenever I see people doing this to a really high level, I'm like, because we know it's not that easy. To make it look like that.
Really not. Especially like the longer the time. Like that was 3 minutes, but like when people do that for like a 10-minute piece or something, it's like, this is crazy. But this is what I was going to say as well, because you said about Choreo Masters, but you had done Choreo Masters in JoJo's in what year? Like I want to say 2011 or something.
No, 2013.
13, okay. Yeah, so you did Choreo Masters. So that was just the choreo aspect of it, the 3 dances and the solo. And then the 8 rounds thing, that was your event, wasn't it? When it was like Alex Cajun Feist, Majid and Wadey, I think, and whoever but that was like an invite only.
Exactly.
Because me and Evan because he mentioned that, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that was this before, and he was like, no, I think that's a different event, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Nikel's event, just the prior version to this. You kind of did all these draft events and brought them together to make
exactly this. That. Yeah, exactly. Because I would say the biggest difference between me before and me now is I'm more consistent with with my projects, because before I think it's just I wasn't ready for this, but I had good ideas.
Your timing.
Yeah, exactly. I had good idea, but I would try them and it would work, and for some reason, and that's me being honest with all of you guys, it would work, and I would have so much pressure. create so much pressure with myself, and I'm like, no, I cannot make it good again.
So I'm not gonna do it.
So I'm not gonna do it. Like for real, I would try, but with the knowing that it was like almost like it was luck for the first time, and then I cannot repeat that process anymore. You know?
Yeah. But it's a different pressure as well to do something a second time when we already know the first one. It is like a different, but it's like sometimes I find it easier to dance outside of the UK when nobody knows me, because it's like you have no expectations. So everything I do, I can surprise you and make it cool. To dance in the UK is harder because it's like some people have seen me dance for 15 years straight. So now to impress them, that's a challenge. So I do get what you mean. It's a different pressure.
But you know, like but once again, it's a pressure that we create.
Of course,
So when I came back to BTM, and then at some point I wanted to create an event, and I'm like, okay, I've got two things that I've done in the past that worked. Just combine them.
So the plan was never to make those into one.
No.
Oh, okay,
it's
okay,
just,
that's good to know.
When I came back with like a different basically mindset, with my project, and I was like, okay, BTM this time is something that I see the longevity in it. I want to stick to it.
Yeah.
So therefore, my approach, everything changes as well. And then at some point, I knew that I wanted to have an event under the umbrella of BTM, and I said, okay, I've got two things that already worked. I'm just going to combine them together and create an experience out of it.
Yeah.
And then, so I didn't try to recreate anything. I just put them together.
Wow. I thought that you did those early ones, like testing out ideas because you knew you wanted to make it.
Yeah. But at that time, I was testing so many things.
Right.
Like for real, I tested
and we just see the stuff that works.
Many things, man. you have no idea. You had no idea. I put myself in trouble so many times financially to test things. You have no idea.
Yeah.
But that was that's me, and I'm still like that. But I just do it more consciously, But I'm still the type of guy like that's the process. I test, it works. I keep it, and then I try to double down on it. And then there is a part of me who's already, looking for, what is the next thing that I need to test. And if it works, I keep it. If it doesn't,
this is a great way to be. Is it's like it's like you anyone that thinks that like the best version. No, how do I say that? Like, the thing that we see that works is never the first version. So like when you see like the premiere of a theatre piece and it's like 30 minutes long or an hour long and it's the first time they're showing it, that piece has had like 14 versions of it before this. Like it's the same with an event, it's like if an event goes really well, there's probably little versions, a dancer that's really good that like, I'm trying to think of someone like maybe, I don't think Doya is Doya? That's new. He's not new, but like, is he kind of coming up now?
I'm sure he's been dancing for at least 10 years.
But it's like, I mean, for me, I'm using him as an example because it's the first time I start seeing him like in the last year or so only.
Yeah.
But it's like, exactly, he's been dancing for a long time because it's like nothing, nobody just gets good. It's like, it takes a while to like
even
try these things.
In Battle Bad, I think they said that in the mic, I think they said like he didn't pass the pre-selection at Battle Bad maybe 4 times, something like this. Like no one knew about him.
And then he won.
And now he won. Like we don't see all of that.
Yeah.
We don't see all of that.
And it takes a while to like try these things. And also like you said about your timing, it's like, even if that one with the 8 rounds thing, I forget, what was the name of it?
The expert game.
Yeah, that was it.
Expert game,
like even if that was a big success and everyone loved it, like you also need to take time to like feel how you feel about it and like, is this the right thing or is this the way I want to do it? Or like even like maybe you didn't have Beyond the Moves then, so you didn't have like the platform that it fit under, and you're like, now it all connects and it all makes sense, and now's the time I can go in it.
But the thing as well is one of the reasons why it was harder for me to stick to one project is because for me to be able to commit, I need to be able to see like at least a 10-year vision. you know?
Yeah.
Not a 10-year plan.
But just like, where could this go?
Yeah, exactly. 10-year vision.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, that's mean if I keep going and I keep doing this, there is a potential where I might end up there, right? And once I can see that, then I'm committed.
Bro,
you know, but before I was not able to like a picture, a vision or something.
You're like, this is cool, but
can I see, you know, the longevity of it in it? I couldn't, you know,
which is a really smart way to
exactly. So that's why, but then now it's all changed, and that's how I decide, you know, which project that I want to do as well, you know.
Bro, to be honest with you, that was my like click moment with the capsule. That like I was doing everything I did is kind of like what we were saying, is like I did it, like I danced first and then I started doing photography, then later I started doing video, then later, really later, I started doing podcast, and then I started the podcast, and it's still none of it was connected. It was all like this, and then I started to think about like it's a long story, how I've told it before on the pod, so I won't bore the people at home with that, but like how I thought of like the capsule being like an organization and like a platform. And it's like, as soon as I thought of like the name and the thing that it could be an organization, it's like everything that was like floating just went click and fit. Yeah. And I was also like, oh my God, I can see that, like immediately could see the 10-year vision of like, and I've got like, and it's like, you know, like it's a podcast thing that builds into a platform, and it's like, but wait, we could offer photography, we could offer video, we could talk about the stuff that we film on the podcast and like watch it, and it could be about dance, which I know about because I've been doing it, and it's like it all fits, it all works, and I was like, and I could see how I could be high, and obviously there's a lot of work that has to go into like, okay, how exactly are we going to do this? But like you said, it's not the plan, it's the like, this could be a thing, and also the thing in 10 years. It doesn't exist. And I'm sure it's the same with BTM. It's like, this could, well, it already is growing, but like from the beginning, it's like, this could be a thing, and it doesn't exist, and I want to do that, and I want to spend 10 years doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's a high chance we will not end up where we see it.
100%.
You know?
Already is like
exactly. But that's the hope that we need to just, you know, do the work on a daily basis, you know, and then, you know, keep growing it, you know. And that's why, you know, like when people ask me, you know, what where do you see yourself with BTM in 5 years and things like this?
I was going to say there's some questions. I think one of them is that question.
Oh, okay.
let me check, but I'm pretty sure, because you're about to answer it anyway, I'll say exactly what the guy said. That's so funny that you like that you guessed it. Yeah, how far do you plan to take this event in the future? That's the question. I'll read you the other ones after. Okay.
I mean, for me, like as far as I can, you know, but in the process, I promise myself that I don't want to get bored with it. You know, I want to keep on, you know, having the fun of doing it, you know, and so I really don't know, but I know one thing for sure is that there's power in longevity. So whenever an event, you know, past the 10-year mark, it's like, okay, you know, it's part of the thing now,
the fabric, and
exactly. But then I'm really also grateful that in just 3 years, it seems to have a pretty good impact in the community. And considering that there's a lot of events happening, so being able to stand out is cool. It's cool, but we still have a long way to go, I think.
Yeah, but everyone has a long way to go with everything. So it's like I agree with everything. Shall I bang out these questions and you can give me? There's like 7, something like that. Maybe I don't know how short this can be, but how did BTM start? And what was the hardest to deal with in the process, both the event and the course?
I think BTM started out of necessity. Necessity for myself first, because, you know, I've always struggled to okay, this is gonna sound a bit let me put it the right way, because I don't want to undermine anyone's job.
Okay.
But for me, like, I've always struggled with the way we dance, the way we live as dancers.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And for some reason I couldn't explain it why before, but it just didn't make sense to me. Meaning, if I want, I can either maybe, you know, do battles and then make a name for myself and then judge or teach, right? If I do this too, right, and I make a name for myself and then I judge and teach, people will need to invite me, right? So therefore, I don't necessarily have that much control over this. If they don't call me anymore, so I have no job.
Yeah.
Secondly, you can also, you know, go to the commercial route and do casting and all of that, and then blah, 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 and you do this. Once again, someone else has to give you that job. Or you also go, you know, to the theater, you know, route under a choreographer, and you are in a company, or you are, you know, choreographing, you know, your piece yourself. This one for me, like, is it kind of create a bit more stability, especially in Paris, because you can be, you know, like a intermittent du spectacle. It's a statue. Once you have it, you basically can have a more stability financially.
Yeah, I'm sure I've spoke about this on the pod before. It's like,
so all of that to say that for me, like, I like them, like these options, but I could always see them as a bonus, not necessarily, you know, something that, okay, I've got full control of.
Yeah,
you know. But my background was, at school, you know, I studied like marketing and sales and all of that, and I always, you know, kind of find it, you know, fascinating, you know, the art of, you know, persuasion, you know, having 100%. An offer and being able to sell it and things like that. You know, this is things that I enjoy, you know. And then, over time, I just, you know, find a way to combine both. So when I've started to, you know, discover the world of online marketing and all of that, what I really loved about it, it was, for me, in a way where I could potentially, you know, create an income without having to dance all the time. And that's what we do as dancers. If you want to make more, if you want to eat, you have to be there dancing. So if your body says no, then you're stuck, you know? Yeah. So online gives you that leverage, you know? And then I was like, okay, you know, just to make a long story short, this is basically how it started, out of necessity, because I wanted to create almost like a lifestyle that I never see from dancers. Right?
Something sustainable, scalable.
Exactly. But I've been seeing it in other industries, right? But 100%. Not, you know, from dancers. So I study a lot, you know, what's going on outside, and I'm like, okay, but if they do it, I can find a way to replicate 100%. It in, you know, the dance, in my, at least for myself, you know. That was the first stage of BTM. And now BTM is, okay, once I created that stability where I'm able to work full time on this, then, you know, the next step is to create, to have an impact, you know, and So that's pretty much it. Like I could go in more details about, you know, the cause, the event and all of that, but it would be too long.
I love that answer though. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Has Beyond the Moves helped any dancers that now perform in the biggest battles?
In the biggest battles?
Like, as in, I guess, do you have anyone on the program like that you can
not yet. Not yet. I'm just thinking. Not yet. The reason why I say not yet, I do have a few dancers that has a really high level, and they have like a international level. But the reason why I don't want to count them is because they already had a lot of experience when they joined BTM. You see what I mean? Like I contributed to their progress. Like for example, someone like Ogi from Lithuania. He's been in the program, and he was in the program for like 2 years, for example. And I had the chance as well to interact with him and share with him. But when I met Oge, he already had a pretty good level.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So one thing that I discover, as something that I really enjoy once I started, BTM, is the ability to see people who I would say they're not at the very beginning, but they are dancers. When you look at them, you wouldn't say, they're good.
Okay, right.
And then 1 year later, to actually say, no, now they're actually good.
Yeah. And you see that progress.
Such, satisfaction, for me. Because having dancers who come with, good level already, they just come, they, learn a few things. And then at some point, they might think, okay, all right, I get it. And, I move on or something like that. Right. But there are dancers, and these are the ones that are, for me, like, it's more satisfying. Is like seeing them going from almost like, I don't know what to do with what I've got, and now they're like really good.
So you want to like
exactly
build them from the ground up to really be like, that's I really helped them.
Yeah. But also, it's not the purpose of BTM to train people for battle.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's more of the whole thing.
For me, like if there's one thing that I try to do most with Beyond the Move is to make freestyle as accessible as possible. When I say as accessible as possible, even for people who've been doing it for like 5 years,
right?
Because even those, a lot of people, they've been doing it for like 5 years, but it's still not digestible in their mind, right? Because it's so complex, and I try to make it as simple as possible so that they can see it in a different ways that give them more peace of mind.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
This is, what we're trying to do with,
and then with whatever they do with that information is up to them. It's not about you have to be a good battler. Exactly. It's like, I'm going to give you a way to think or a way to train, and then you could take that and become a theater artist or a choreographer. It's just about the basis of the dance, I guess.
Of course, because that would be way too niche if I only talk to
just a battle training.
Yeah, battle training. That, and also plus, if I was going to do this, I would create a different type of program where we all focus on that.
Yes,
focus on that. And out of in 6 months, this is the type of result you could get from it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But the approach would have been different.
Yeah, completely different. Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, let's see the other ones that we have. We have a few from the same person. So I don't know how much we can make these short, but we'll try.
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer faster then maybe.
No, it's just because I think they're huge. They're like whole podcast topics by themselves.
Oh, okay.
Red Bull Dance Your Style and other larger corporate brands creating events, good or bad?
That's a good question. A very good question. Good.
Mm-hmm. But
if
okay.
If we know how to remain in control.
Yes, agreed.
And I didn't say if we remain in control, and I said if we know how to remain in control.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not like at the mercy of them, then it's good.
Yeah.
Because they're just bringing more people inside our community.
Sure. And that's the best thing about it.
Exactly. Because that's at the end of the day, a community that is growing is a community that could potentially be, economically sustainable by itself.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
But then if we are at their mercy and they pretty much can do whatever they want with us in a subtle way, then no.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, it's also if we're relying on them. Like if every time a big corporate, whatever, even if the event itself is like, even if they're trying to do whatever they're trying to do in their moment, if we use that to like everybody that comes into the dance scene because of that big of like the Dance Your Style clips from the world finals were going viral and like everybody seeing like D Soraki and stuff. If as a community we use all that attention to draw the attention to our events, which is kind of the point of what the capsule is like take those sort of big things and like direct it to like go and look at the people and here's a way to see them, then we're doing it in a good way. We're using that attention and bringing it to ourselves. If we just like the only time anyone knows about dance is when those big corporate events do stuff, then it's like we're relying on them to put on, and if they stop putting on an event, our community is going to die. You know what I mean? As opposed to like using that as a way to almost like water the grass here, you know, it's like it keeps our stuff alive so that even if they go away, we're still stronger than we were before they came in.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But the thing is, we've been doing that without them.
Yes.
Right? And now it's more like, okay, now they are present and they are becoming more and more present. So, and I've really been thinking about this a lot, Luke. And I'm like, if it continued this way, how can we maintain some level of autonomy, right? Because now if, you know, Nike can come and say, look, the winner now, we're going to give them £20,000 for the winner. You and I can't compete.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't give that at BTM, right? But they are also now being smarter because they're not coming as outsiders. They are hiring insiders to do the job, right? But for the benefit of the brand.
Of course.
So the approach is more and more smart, and the way they are integrating the community is more and more, you know, well done, right? Because we are accepting them like this now, right? So, and I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, what could potentially help us, you know, keep that autonomy? And I don't know if there is, you know, like actually if the people have, you know, some other solution, that would be great, because for me, that's an important subject.
Yeah.
But I'm like, in 10, 15 years time, it would be great that us as insiders, like people who's got project, right? Like yourself and Jimmy's and me and others, to do our best to create actual businesses that could make, you know, like, you know, that could reach those maybe 7 figures a year, something like that.
100%.
Because if we are able to do that, then when a brand comes and say, hey, I'm going to give you £30,000, you are in a position to say, either you negotiate or you can also afford to say, no, I don't want it. Because I can give that money to the community if I want to do an event. I can sponsor an event instead of Nike. Right now, if you come to me and say, as a capsule, I'm going to give BTM for that event, you know, £30,000. I would rather say yes to you
than say yes to a big brand.
Then say yes to a big brand. Why? Just because I know the impact that has when, you know, when you are able to spend money inside and keep that money turning.
Well, this
inside.
is the same with communities. This is the same with like countries or cities where it's like, I think it's like, I could be wrong on this, but like it's really hard, I think, to like take money out of China, right? This is such a random example. You can earn, and India's the same. You can earn money in China. You can, even as a foreigner, you could go start a business, but to then convert that money into dollars or to pounds to take it out is very hard. So, and the reason is because they don't want people to like take the money of their people and then bring it back to England and spend it in the shops and the things here, which makes our economy stronger off their people's pocket.
Exactly.
Which is exactly the same.
Exactly.
We need to, you kind of said it before, but like create an economy within ourselves where even if we are getting money from these other companies, we're then spending it internally. Exactly. And this is why, not to go on another topic, but like this is why it pisses me off so much when people try to like get into events for free, or, I mean, Matt M.A. Duty was speaking about the people buying his tracks and stuff. And it's like, it's all the same thing. It's like, you're going to pay for like, I don't know, maybe a big artist album. You're going to pay to get into like a concert, but you're not going to pay to get into like Nikel's event, or you're not going to pay to download Matt's track or creator's track. And it's like, this is how you create the economy, because then they get money, then they spend it coming to your event, and then you spend it, and now we're all going to get richer. That's like how an economy works, is you have to, you make the money, if you can, you make it elsewhere and spend it in your community, or you all make money and spend it within the same thing.
Yeah. And obviously we are not pretending to be, you know, economic gurus and
No,
and any of that, but it's almost like common sense, you know.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I think, you know, our generation and the upcoming generation, I know that I'm talking maybe to, you know, 1% of us at the moment, but there are people who will hear that message and they will be like, okay, yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I want to aim for. And if you feel like that, then go for it, because we are so good at being, you know, selfish unconsciously, you know, as artists, because, you know, we just want to either be famous or make money for ourselves, and that's the maximum.
Sure.
Because, and if we do that, we are already considered as being, you know, successful dancers, right? So that's why it's the normal format for us. But if a few of us feel the desire to actually build actual businesses, then in the near future we will have more leverage and also more autonomy. Right?
And this is why it's so important to spend money on those people, build it. Like if Jimmy's putting on an event, I'm going to pay full price. Like even if he was like, oh, Luke, you can come in for free, like you're my friend, I'm going to still pay you for that thing. Like, because it's like, this is like what's important, to spend your money in the right places.
And I would even go deeper than that. You know, like event and, you know, dance schools and things like that, they're cool. But what I'm trying to say with this is, now we are at a stage where we can start thinking, you know, bigger than that, right? Like literally, don't get me wrong, guys, I'm far from making 7 figures, right? But
trust me,
the reason why I'm talking this way is because I can also see there is way more possibilities to create, you know, good products or good services that the dance community, the dance world would be willing to pay for.
Yeah.
Right. So at my, you know, let's say little stage, being able now to have, you know, dancers around the world paying for the course of BTM program. If I had a dance school, I wouldn't have that amount of leverage, right? Because I would be in one location, paying the rent, I don't know how much, and all of this, and also, you know, so many overhead already, right? Yeah. But with technology today, you can have something bigger with lower cost. Definitely. You see what I mean?
Yep.
And this can be, you know, an idea for a software that you have in mind, and, you know, so many things. Yeah. And a software today, it can be expensive, but also there are like low code or no code platform where you can start an idea with less risk. You see what I mean?
Definitely.
And I'm just talking about this thing, and it seems like it's far from dance right now, you know, what we are talking about.
Yeah.
But guess what? Like most dancers, in a way, or most artists, they are in some ways already entrepreneurs, because they're trying to, you know, to live out of their passion. And this is not a normal thing to do.
Yeah.
So you 100%. Are already an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm not trying to convince everyone to become an entrepreneur, but some who feel that desire to do something, it's time to think about actual product, actual services that you can put in.
And I think there's nothing wrong with like being creative in business. I think a lot of people think like, okay, I'm going to be the artist that I just get good at dancing, and then somebody's going to come and discover me, and then they're going to put me on stage with Beyonce, or I'm going to get sponsored by Nike or whatever. And it's like, and you know, there's people like Karam who stuff like that happens to. You're just really good, and then you get these sponsorships and stuff like that. But also, it's like you can be really creative. It's like you don't have to be world famous to start like selling something. You know, like you could sell... there's so many things that you could do, but you know what I mean? It's like you could sell a course online. You could create videos that then you make people pay for. You could do an event. Like it doesn't have to be that you make something the size of Just Taboo before you start charging. What about you just run a little session every week in your town and you charge people for that? You know you can make money on it if you do that, and then you put that money into building, get a better studio.
And we have better idea and, you know, stronger things, because you will also get the confidence of, okay, oh, actually I can do that. Look, now if no one is calling me to do for a job or something like this, I can still be living out of dancing.
You
know, like if just by doing this, and then you're like, oh, actually, now I prove myself I can do that. Maybe I can, do a higher project, a bigger project. And once again, I know it's not for everyone. Yeah, and definitely don't go for it if you don't feel like it, because it's headache. But once again, now the opportunity, like the OGs, they didn't have that.
That's true.
Even what we are doing here, the OGs wouldn't think about doing things like this. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think yes, it's time, because if we start thinking more and more like this, I would say 10, 15, 20 years, there is a high chance that we could have even more autonomy. Otherwise, they're just gonna come with all the money they've got, and they will always have more money than us.
Yeah,
and God knows what they can do.
And it's the time to start thinking about these things, because, like, that's the kind of the point of being an entrepreneur, is that you do something early before. Like when Just Taboo started, there wasn't all the battles like there are now. It's easy to start a battle because there's a lot of proof that everybody wants to come to a battle. Like you have other battles to go to learn what's the most effective way. When Just Taboo started, there wasn't that. No. So they started this for stand-up styles in a way like, fuck, like, okay, we're taking a risk. And then it built up to be as big as like in Bercy and this 10,000, whatever, 16,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
But the reason that got that big is because they started before everyone else. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's so possible of, like, if you think of an idea, it's not like, oh, let me do the idea that everybody's already doing. Like, let me do the idea that nobody's doing.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know how to make it happen. Like, is it an app for dancers? Is it I don't know, whatever. There's like, the league thing is like a new, like Kingdoms League are doing it. There's a few other battle events, but that's quite a new thing. But that could be like a business. Like a league has a very different appeal to a battle. Like, I don't know, whatever else you might want to do. But
and stop thinking that, okay, in order to make this idea happen, I need funds. I need money, right? In this case, just say, okay, what is the smallest version I can create from that idea and start charging for it, and start charging for it. Because, if you manage to do this and putting something valuable, some people will buy it.
100%.
And then once some people started to buy it, you will make it better, But this is something that, this is the type of, limitation that we have. We think like, okay, we need, more funds. We need, that money.
But also it's not only a limitation. Sometimes it's like in a way, like a self-sabotage. Like they're scared to do the thing, so they go, oh, I can't do it until I have £1 million to start the thing. And it's like, you're just scared to start. That's why you're making it a reason. It's like, I often say this to like people that I'm teaching, but like being a perfectionist is not always a good thing, because you never put anything out because it's never perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. So if you're waiting for something to be perfect, you're never going to do anything. So it's like you kind of, part of you has to be okay with things being good enough, because then you're going to put stuff out, and then over years of good enough, you're going to make perfect. I think. But I think it's like this with this type of thing, is like these things of, oh, I can't do that because how can I start a battle as big as Just Taboo? Like I don't have any money, I don't have sponsors, blah blah blah. And it's like, but Just Taboo didn't start with 16,000 people. They started small and build. Like how can, I don't know, whatever the other examples might be, stance, or like I love this dance. It didn't start with all these big camera people. They started with an Instagram account and no followers at one point. But like you can always start the small
plus
version.
Even let's since we are in it, let's push it even more. Like for me, I would say, guys, see an event as more like a branding thing, but it's not a vehicle to make money.
No,
because it's very expensive and it's not like very profitable. Right. I like to be straight. Even when you see big events, when you see the amount of efforts and the expenses, and at the end, the organizer, they don't necessarily have a lot. At the end, including myself. So that's why for me, like BTM, it has to be an ecosystem first, and then the event is contributing to the brand, right?
Yes.
But I don't do like BTM experience to make money.
No.
I do BTM experience to like spread the word about BTM as much as I can, right? So the reason why I'm saying this is because, once again, think about some other stuff that you can actually charge and be profitable.
The only way I think that's going to change, and this is we can't talk about this now because we don't have time, but the only way that's going to change is, we kind of spoke about it with Jimmy, that if we find a way for dance to be like digestible for the general public. Like if battles become something that the general public want to go to, like stand-up comedy, where it's like they're not performing for other comedians, they're performing for the public, and it's like a normal person can just go sit down, enjoy a night of stand-up comedy. If we create that for dance in a way that like somehow people can just come, like, oh yeah, do you want to go catch a dance show today? Like people go to the theater, but like a more open version of that. Then maybe we can sell big arenas, or you know what I mean? Like
but it's already happening.
Yeah,
like
in places. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I
Dance Your Style was the first.
The
Red Bull.
Oh, okay, you're talking about this.
Like in the sense of like
having everyone.
Anyone can enjoy.
But in Paris, for example, when I see the crowds, a lot of people will come. Not in every battle, but many battles where people would come. They're not dancers. They see it just as, another entertainment.
Okay.
And they come. And it's happening more and more. And I think also Just Debout is a big part of it as well. But it is something that is happening. Obviously, if your battle is very underground, maybe you will not attract those type of people. But yes, we do have that more and more, I think,
Yeah. All right. I think before we do any more topics, we'll wrap, because I said this to you before. I texted you, I was like, I could talk to you for 3 hours. One day we'll do 3 hours. But no, thanks for coming. I super enjoyed the event. It's January 2025 will be the next one.
Waiting for the
confirmation.
Confirmation, because we are potentially moving.
Okay.
So yeah,
but it'll be back 2025 or maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 2025 we'll be back. It's just need to confirm the date. Yeah.
Sick. So yeah, check out the event for sure if you're watching. But also the course and Instagram, the website, everything.
Yeah.
There's all lots to offer. But yeah, definitely go and check it out. Like I said, I've vouched for it when you were here and when you weren't here as well. But like one of my favorite events that I've been to now. I'm so glad I came. It's so funny. If anyone saw the last podcast we were talking, I was like, this sounds like now we talk about it, I want to come, and I did. Yes. And it was worth it. It lived up to its YouTube experience. But yeah, man, I love it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it grows. I'm happy that I came early, like that I came in like the 3rd edition. I would have been nice as it at the beginning, but hopefully in like 10-15 years I can be like, I was there at the 3rd one. Like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing it grow. And thanks for coming through today as well. Always a pleasure to chat.
Yeah, man, it's the second time, and it's
always pleasure, welcome, man. Back. Next time, like if you and Cynthia come for dinner, I'm gonna be like, can we do a pod, the 4 of us?
Yeah, man. Good.
But yeah, man, that's it really. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I think this is gonna come out Thursday if I can get the turnaround done quick enough. So if that's the case, and if you're watching on the day of release, see you tomorrow at the Nike Own the Floor sessions. And if I get this out late, see you. Hope we had a good time a few days ago. But yeah, I think that's it. Peace, guys.